Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space, created weekly, is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Really excited to have you here today. This is honestly going to be like a therapy session for me, and I hope through speaking very genuinely, being raw and real with you guys, that it's a little therapy session for you as well. Because we're going to get into it today based off of something that I experienced over the weekend, and it was hard. Definitely wasn't what I wanted, but it was 100% what I needed. And I think this is a lot of what other people need to hear right now as well. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the Becoming Your Strong moment of the week. I actually this week don't have a specific moment that I want to shout out. However, I want to read something from the book, The Let Them Theory from Mel Robbins, that my head has been so deep in for the last couple of weeks, that I think will help inspire people to step into their strong going into this week and just moving forward in their life. So I just wanted to take a moment to read this. When you see comparison as a teacher, you will realize other people actually aren't taking anything away from you. They are giving something to you. Other people have this beautiful capacity to show you pieces of your future that you cannot fully see for yourself yet. They show you possibilities that you didn't realize existed or told yourself you are incapable of achieving. Whoever or whatever it is that is making you jealous, good. Their success and their wins do not shrink your chances of creating what you want. They expand it. Let them lead the way. Flip your jealousy into inspiration. I hope that inspires you and gets you to choose the good kind of comparison, not the bad kind of comparison that makes us feel less than. This kind of comparison puts you in a space of power, puts you in a space of freedom to where all of these things that are happening around you does not mean that they are less likely to happen for you. It's actually the opposite. They're more likely to happen for you. There are people that are showing you proof that it's possible. I hope that you can see this proof in your life just through hearing this today, and go out there and churn what was once jealousy into that inspiration to help you take action in the right way this week. So let that fuel you into your Becoming Your Strong moment of this week. Let's go ahead and talk about ultimately what was my Becoming My Strong moment of the week, and the overall topic of this episode, which is chasing failures. Failures don't feel good. I think we all know that. And this weekend, I had one of those. This past weekend, I had the goal of going to the gym and doing a sim of my individual DECA Strong race that I plan to compete later this week. My current time is right around a 13:13. My PR is a 13:03. Some of the best girls in the world are currently in the 12s, and I've made it a goal to try and break the 12s. I would really like to see myself there, not just to be like, I'm as good as the rest of them, or I want to see myself on a podium. It's because I know who I will become when I break that number. Like, I know that I will have gone through some things mentally and physically that have ultimately made me become better. And that's why I feel so hungry in achieving this, to be able to say, I did that. I did something really hard, and therefore I can continue to do hard things. It's always why I try and make goals around, is just to become that better version of myself. So all of that to say, I wanted this weekend to sim the race that I'm going to do in a couple of days with the goal of gathering data around pacing. When I raced in May, it was very clear that I was going to have to get more uncomfortable in certain parts of the race if I ever wanted to achieve that sub 13 time. So this whole training block that I've been in has been focused on getting stronger in some of those specific zones that I've identified as opportunities and doing a lot of threshold efforts that make me mentally and physically fight for things like hell. Okay. So I went into this, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and hit XYZ paces on the front half of the race and see what happens. See if I can hold on, if it's too much, whatever. Long story short, I ended up stopping at the farmer's carry. Didn't even make it through a full lap. I picked up the weights. They felt insanely heavy. And my legs stopped. And I looked at Olivia and I just like gave her like the X, I'm done. And I sat down. And that was really hard for me because about, November of last year, I did the same thing. Funny enough, in the same gym, just about the same spot, where I was simming my Elite Strong race for Worlds. And I wanted to see how far I could push. And I quit at the very end. I didn't finish it out for me. I quit. And that feeling of quitting was just, it sucked to know that you had given up on yourself. It was almost like my mind didn't even give me a chance to fight back. Like it paralyzed me. I didn't even have a moment to insert like, oh, well, what if, it's like, it just stopped. And those are terrifying moments to have because you're like, well, if it was that easy to just stop, how am I not like sure or doubtful that isn't going to happen again when it really matters? Like, how do I not know that? And of course that thought gets put into your brain and you're like, shit, what if that happens in a couple of days from now? After all this work I've been doing, what if that happens? Terrifying. It was just one doubt, one negative thought after another. And I just knew once I picked those weights up and immediately all those thoughts were just coming to the brim, that I just needed to stop and shut the operation down because nothing productive was happening in that moment. I sat there for a minute and quite honestly, I was embarrassed. I pulled that move of quitting once again in front of Dave, who was watching. And I quit for the first time ever in front of my really good friend and client, Olivia, who has never seen me do that before, like ever. I was frustrated with myself that, again, this happened again. And I was like, okay, I've been here before. I know that I can't sit here. I have to finish this out in some way, shape, or form. And so Olivia just kind of sat there with me. I collected myself and I popped back up and I hopped on the ski erg and I started over from the ski erg. Went all 500 meters, picked up the weight, did all of the 100 meters of the farmer's carry, went through the bike like I wanted to. And that was really the data I was looking to gather, was just seeing, what paces I could hold to make sure that I could do my all-star performance on the bike and then get off and, try and do a couple of dead ball over the shoulders. And then at that point I pulled the plug and I was just proud of myself for like not completely stopping. Like I did what I wanted to get through and that was good. Right. After that, when I finally like finished what I wanted to get through, my mind was back and forth between so many thoughts. The most prevalent ones were that surely whatever I just did ain't gonna work. And I really hope that these last 8 weeks of training like weren't a waste, that I didn't spend my time in the wrong areas. I took a little bit of time to sit with that. And then I watched Olivia to coach her through her race because she was going to sim her individual strong as well. And she also had a strategy, but her strategy was actually very different from mine. She was going to push back her paces after just some realizations from post-race reflections that we've had of maybe she's actually going a little bit faster on the front end. And if she could slow that down, we wonder what would happen on the back end and if that would lead to really good results. One thing led to another. She stuck to her plan and she ended up getting a massive, massive PR that put her in the range, like within striking distance of if there were to be roll downs for elite, she would be in that group of people. And that was a goal for us this year, was to get her to race with me in the elite wave. And so like she was firing on all freaking cylinders. And I'm sitting there like, shit, like I'm feeling so unstable right now. And I just need to process all of this. Guys, there were so many things that happened this weekend in regards to just like my mindset, what came from it. Olivia's sim made me realize that I wasn't actually racing my race. I was trying something new, but I was actually racing other people's races, trying to keep up with their paces. I needed to remember that I need to stay true to what I know and lean into where my current fitness is at and trust that that will lead me to have the best race that I can have for this season of life. I think this is so important to really emphasize because there's always going to be someone that's faster than you. There's always going to be a chance for you to go faster, right? But sometimes you're just not there yet. You're not there yet, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, you're just not there yet to be able to go for that. And that's okay. That's the beautiful part of this journey is that when you try and go for something and almost like this block happens, like again, it's almost like you're jiggling on a door that just won't open. There's a reason for that. It's because you haven't handled something. You haven't learned the lesson. You haven't grown into that yet. And if you were to open up that door, you wouldn't be ready for what's on the other side of that. And that was the second thing that came from this was that Dave and Olivia both commented on how they were like, you looked great. Like, we think you totally could have kept going. And they genuinely thought that I could have held on the paces that I was at. They've seen me do some pretty ridiculous things. And like, we think that you could have done that. When I stopped, Dave asked me what happened. And without hesitation, didn't even have to think about it. I said, I mentally stopped and gave up. Them saying this to me at the end made me realize that I haven't fully given myself the permission yet to be comfortable mentally in that way. The moment it got hard in a way that I had never felt before at that point in the race, I shut down versus saying, let's just see if you can continue to put one foot in front of the other. It didn't feel ideal at all. And so I immediately thought I failed and I wasn't capable of moving on, that this isn't it. I'm shutting it down. I wanted to share all of these things, the raw, the real, for a few reasons. The first is, I hope that this goes to show that you are not alone. I have to imagine that you've had a moment like this before. And more often than not, people are having moments like this than they are having the good ones. And it brings so much doubt, so much negativity, so much question, and it sucks. It brings realness, though, you guys, that if your training sessions always felt good and there wasn't a little bit of doubt, a little bit of frustration, that you're probably in fact complacent. If you are always feeling like that was great, like you're probably in this complacency. You're just drifting along. One of the favorite things that I've ever heard, I shouldn't say ever heard, but it's up there. One of my favorite things that I've heard is called the rule of thirds. And this came from an Olympian. She said, my coach always told me this, the rule of thirds. 1/3 of training is going to be great. It's going to feel amazing. It's going to be ideal. You're going to feel on top of the world. 1/3 of your training is going to be the opposite of that. It's going to be absolutely terrible. You're going to question of whether or not you're even deserving to be here. And the other third of it is going to be just okay. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. You just kind of sailed along. If you find yourself not living by the rule of thirds or not finding this to be true within your training, then you probably need a different approach to your training, right? And some of you also might be hearing this and thinking, oh, I feel so much better hearing this. Like, I totally have the rule of thirds where like, it's not all great and it's not all bad and it's not all just in the middle. Like I have a lot of it all. And that's a good thing, right? It means that I'm finding progress and moments to push when it makes sense. So that's the first thing that I wanted to bring up. The second thing is knowing where you are at in the season of life and training is so critical. I just hammered this home. If you can identify where you're at and just find a way to stay true to that, to trust that, to live in that, you will find yourself not chasing the wrong things and the wrong outcomes like I did this weekend. Okay. But Here's the other flip side of that, and this is the third thing, is the importance of constantly chasing after failure. If you knew that you were 25 failures away from finding the answer, from achieving the thing you were looking to achieve, how quickly would you work to fail more? If it wasn't for me having this failure this past weekend, I wouldn't have all this information that's going to make me better, that's going to get me on the right path. That knowledge that I now have is power. And I'm asking myself powerful questions like, how do I mentally give myself the permission to go there? To trust that if I feel that discomfort, I can grit down and keep moving. To be totally honest, I don't have an answer to that question yet. But in the moment, what I can tell you is that I need to fail more. I need to put myself in those situations just a little bit more, where I purposely go to seek where that line is at in this season of life and see if I can move it just a little bit further and further over time. And what I'll really come to find, you guys, is that I'm not actually failing. I'm actually discovering the potential of what I'm capable of. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. I hope that this vulnerability and realness truly hit home. Please share this with the people that need to hear this. And I hope that this gives you the strength to keep moving forward, to live by those rule of thirds, and to go out there and seek failure more often, because on the other side of that is so much knowledge, so much power, and the success that you're ultimately looking for. I will see you guys next week for an episode that I'm sure will come with more lessons after I've had a great race weekend at Underdog Fitness in Connecticut. But other than that, guys, have a great week, and I will see you guys then.